All right. Welcome, man.
How you doing?
What's up, Randy?
Ain't nothing to it. Just hanging out. What y'all up to?
All right. So, I'd like to welcome our anglers from Electric Bass Opens. Congratulations again, points champions Michael Geiger and Randy Moore during the 2019 season. So, I'd like to take a moment, just a brief moment, goes through our sponsors, thanking them. Without them, it would not be possible from you seeing from the intro video. All you have to do is like this video, leave us a comment, get in here and get some interaction. I know these guys are ready to fire out some answers directly to the anglers that's got questions for them. So our first sponsor, we'd like to thank G2 Gemini Jerseys. We'll be giving 25% off. Everybody stuck at home, sitting here ready to take and get some jerseys, spend some of that stimulus money. So G2 Gemini Jerseys is the way for you to go to purchase your angler jerseys. 25% off. All you have to do, enter in the code G2 Georgia spelled out 20. It'll get you 25% off any apparel order. So the Dugout Bait and Tackle, we thank them for their great sponsorship for their Hooked Up Lives as well as the Georgia Bass-TEC event. We'll be giving away one of these free hats if I can sit right here in the middle of the D. And also get down there and check them out. I know they've got live bait. From what I heard from Craig the other day, they still have live bait and selling a lot of it right now. So get down there and check them out. They'd be glad to see you. Our next sponsor is Rejuvenade. We thank Rejuvenade for giving free bottles that'll be given away for these Hooked Up Lives. All you have to do, like it, leave us a comment, get you a free bottle of Rejuvenade, additives for your live well. Thank them for their sponsorship. Castleberry Performance Lure Company. So we got some of their items over here, some jigs. And if you have not tested their jigs out, amazing product. I mean, you can hit that thing up against concrete, those rocks around riprap, and it will not chip off that paint. So Castleberry Performance Lure Company, we thank them for their sponsorship. Line Taming Serum. We're going to be giving away one of the net gaiters. Also can be, I don't know if it's health hazard approved or not, but can be used during these pandemic times, getting out there and doing some grocery shopping, or if you're out there fishing, you want to try to protect your face from the elements. Line Taming Serum's got you covered. Also from your line and reel. They're able to take and condition that line, bait additives, everything else. So we'll be giving away the net gator as well as the line conditioning. So we appreciate their sponsorship. And I believe that was everybody. Yes, it is. So man, let's dive right in here and just start talking some fishing. Y'all just got off the water the other day, didn't you?
We did, out of Hickory Log Creek. Standard, probably a standard day out there. Bunch of fish, and couldn't get the big bite.
There was a couple of, looked like I saw 2 over 5 pounds came into the scales.
There were, I believe, John Gilbert and I think Sean Rodriguez had big fish, and then Chris Gayton and Nick had they had a 528.
Man, that is a tough lake that you go all day and you're just, you know that next bite at Hickory Log, it very well could be a good one, but you have to go through a lot of fish just to get that kicker.
You never know, and you never know when it's going to happen. I mean, we fished one last year, and Randy and I kind of have a rhythm out there where he's kind of the keeper man, if you will, fishing for, just steadily putting fish in the boat. And I'm up there slaving away trying to get that big bite. And it never happened, for us on Saturday. Last year we did it, and we got a big bite probably in 15 minutes into the tournament. I never got another bite the rest of the day, but you don't know when it's going to happen. And that's what we were talking about on Saturday. I just kind of stuck with it, and we kept saying, you never know. Next cast could be that fish, but you got to have it if you're going to win out there.
So if you don't mind, maybe touch base on that. Was there any type of pattern going on out there at Hickory Log that y'all noticed at all? I don't know if y'all might want to talk about it or not.
It was mostly dragging for us, to be honest with you. We threw everything. I tell you what, we started off early trying everything. It just did not work out. We ended up dragging, catching what we had, I think, pretty much everything. Right, Geiger?
That's right. We tried some topwater early, and I know I know some were successful doing that, but we struggled. I had one bite early on a prop bait, didn't connect, and other than that, we pretty much had to drag. I think we caught one fish on a moving bait the entire day.
Man, and I've heard oppositely, from some of the anglers that done good out there actually had done some movement in the morning hours and had some pretty good luck with it and caught a couple of key element fish. So so let's talk about the past. I mean, we kind of touched on it on our pre-interview show, and I mean, not putting anybody above anybody or anything like that, or putting anybody down, but between us three, I mean, we've kind of, I know Geiger's probably been doing it longer than me and Randy, but we're kind of the origination around in North Georgia. One of the original faces are y'all's.
Yep, back in what, 06 when you got the SWAT going, and it was all through meeting people and talking on GON.
Yep.
Well, before SWAT, it was the pot tournaments we used to have, over there. It drawed some pretty good tournaments too there for several of them, didn't it?
It sure did. It sure did. And I know, back in them days, we had the, Latham potluck crew, and that was the fun days, right? Small limits of bass, and it was brutal.
Unless we were going to Yahula. That was back in the day when Yahula sure was a fun lake to fish.
I agree to that. So, curiosity, I know you had, Geiger, one of a, most phenomenal days. Memorable was Yahula itself. Y'all had a amazing stringer, wasn't it, with Russ's?
Russ was going to have a tournament. I think it was March of 09, I believe. And he ended up canceling. The weather was real iffy. And I believe he canceled or it was kind of canceled on, off. And he ended up having it in his last second. And there was only 3 or 4 boats. And so Jake and I went out, and there was a 3-fish tournament. And we had no idea what was our 3 best. We just I think we threw 5 or 6 in a live well, and Russ was kind of cool with it. We weighed in, and it was just shy of 24 pounds on our best 5. And our best 3 was, I think, right at 16 or something like that.
I wished I had the picture still from that, because that was an awesome bag of fish. So I was stalling for a moment because I forgot to upload something into here. I'd come across one of the ways that rooted us, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, guys, that rooted us into Jambo fishing. I know, Geiger, you started off a high voltage predominantly. Mm-hmm. Yep. One of the biggest avenues that got us started, and Randy, I believe you'd agree with this, is the old Woody's forum, GON. And I mean, there was no Facebook back then. I think they might have been MySpace at that time when it was the going trend.
That's what started it all.
But Woody's forum was it. So I've got a picture of the very first pot tournament that we held out there. And I believe that's you, Geiger, in the camo jacket standing there.
Yeah, I see Robbie. I see Jason Mulbauer. Yep. Is that Chris Martin over there?
Yep, that's Chris Martin to the left. And then
that's not Danny over there on the right, is it?
It is Danny Pruitt standing, leaning up against the sign there. Sure is.
That's not Cameron in the back. I don't know who that guy in the dock is.
Cameron is in solid black.
Okay.
In the very, very back. Yeah. Yep. But, I personally have to thank Robbie, the one there in the Carhartt-looking pants, leaning up against the tree. He was the one that kind of got me started in the jumbo fishing. But that tournament was a tough one. It was a cold front come in, and I think me and my brother-in-law actually won it with, I think, 2 fish. He had one that was 3 pound or something, big fish. I mean, it was a brutal day, but I just thought I'd show you a blast from the past with that.
Wow.
That is
and I actually found that off of the Woody's forum. I dug back through the Jambo fishing report. If I remember right, was the thread, what it was called. What was it? Up to thousands of comments and posts within it.
What year was that? 06 or 07?
It was in 06.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, and I'm sitting there trying to remember. I think it was in 06, but man, Robbie hooked me up. That's how I got really rooted into John boat fishing. So, but I know the year when we talked about it in y'all's pre-interview about that phenomenal trip to Blue Ridge. I know it's not necessarily small lake fishing, but Blue Ridge was one of those gems that kind of fell off the map, but their DNR is striving to try to get it back. But I've been holding this picture, waiting for this show to kind of show it. Y'all had an amazing bag just from those pictures we showed on the preview. And I'm sitting here trying to find where I've got too many pictures in here now. That was the pictures of y'all smallmouth, and you held out on one of the photographs. That was Randy's big fish that he had from Lake Blue Ridge. And that was a tank.
Oh, yeah, that was a giant.
Was you shaking, Randy?
I don't even remember, tell you the truth.
I think that was the first one when we made our adjustment from down by the dam to get up there, and Randy was throwing a deeper crankbait than I was throwing, and he caught that one, and that kind of keyed us in that we need to throw a little bit instead of, I'm usually throwing a 4 to 6 foot diver, and that was more of a 10 to 12 foot diver, and we started cranking a little bit deeper, and man, we wore them out.
But the water don't look that cold there.
Yeah, it was.
you know it was, Mary.
Oh man, if you would have went 100 yards up from there, it was solid
100,
ice.
200 yards, solid ice. Yep.
Yeah.
So I can remember days at Latham. Y'all correct me if I'm right with this, Latham, man. We had the same thing many times, having to break through ice there at the ramp, not out in open water, but I've had to do it a few times at Latham. So, so let's hear it. Where is y'all's next tournament coming up?
Well, looks like I'm probably going to be at Hickory Log again,
and I'm going to be at Stamp Creek. We went into the season not planning on fishing both trails. We were going to fish electric to qualify for the Classic. Randy won the Classic last year by himself, which automatically qualified us. And as long as we fished half the events, we'd be back in it. And we were going to fish SWAT this year and just fish enough to make it to the Classic with electric. Well, with the coronavirus shuffling around the schedules and things like that, we're going to make an attempt. It's going to be tough, but at least we're going to try to fish the next few with both clubs. So that being said, Randy's going to be at Hickory Log with SWAT, and I'm going to be at Stamp Creek with electric bass.
So a divide and conquer mentality.
We're going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So Randy, you've already got the game plan at Hickory Log down to a T, ready to go.
Yeah, right. I wish. Well, you just got to get that lucky bite. Like you said, it could happen in the first 20 minutes.
So let's
talk
about
pounder. So you're probably good for the day on a good sack anyway.
Let's talk about boat setups, because I know back in the day, Randy, I remember you and your brother fishing and fishing out of his boat, having a G3 and everything. And I'm just take a moment and pause and just say I'm so thankful. Good Lord had his way for protecting and taking care of your brother, because with his health conditions and everything, I mean, it was just, I can only imagine how hard of a blow it was through with your family and not knowing days ahead.
Yep. He's doing well. I'm glad to see it too.
Yep. I need to call him sometime. But so you fished out of the G3 with his for a while. If I remember, I used to have one of them little small plastic boat type setups, didn't you?
Yeah, one of them pond prowler, I think.
Pond prowler, that's right. That's right. So, and now you've went ahead and upgraded and bought you a new boat. So tell us about your boat setup, Randy, and what all you're running, from trolling motors to graphs and your batteries, what type of batteries.
I just got 136 and 224s, and it's basically just a 16-foot or 1510 polar craft. It's a Bass America. And pretty much completely rebuilt it from scratch, to be honest with you. But it's done well for us over the last 4 years.
And you're running. You said you got 24 volt or 36 volt transom mount and 36 volt bow mount.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. That's right.
No, he's got 24.
I got 24 on the front, 24 on the back, and 136 on the back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And you're getting speeds 5-ish.
Right. Yeah. Right
What
at
kind,
maybe a hair better.
what kind of batteries? What kind of batteries you run in it?
Just Walmart batteries.
Can't beat the warranty with it, right?
That's right. They last 4. If I get 4 years out of them, I'm great. I usually replace 2 at a time and rotate them out.
That's exactly what I do. They last a while, that 3-4 years, and they, for the price, you can't beat them.
So let's expand on this. Have you ever thought about making, a bigger leap into a higher amperage battery, or maybe even one day going through to, if price gets there, for lithiums?
What the price got right now, it's just too expensive for me to invest in, tell you the truth. I mean, like I said, I got no problem with the Walmart batteries right now. I ain't putting that kind of money in batteries right now for sure.
Right. So I've had some conversations that I can't really fully speak about yet, but through with one of our sponsors with Georgia Bass-TEC, I could foresee it could wind up being one day, may not be soon, but one day, the lithium price batteries are going to be equivalent to a possible AGM or gel style battery for pricing.
Yeah.
And I know it, and everybody else knows it. I mean, if you had, especially in our industry, I mean, if you have a lithium battery sitting there weighing, and that's what we actually discussed, was you have a 30-pound battery versus a 70 to maybe even 100-pound battery. Which one are you going to go with?
Oh, technology and batteries this day and time is incredible. I mean, before you know it, we're all going to be driving cars running off batteries. Well, I doubt I will, but in the next few decades, I'm sure half the cars will be run by batteries, I'm sure.
To me, Merritt, the weight's the key. I don't have any experience with lithium. I've got on my bass boat, I've got blue top Optimas, and I've got 2 of them that are 9 years old, and they're still running. Now they're not starting; they're my trolling motor batteries, but they're heavy. I haven't considered going to lithium yet, but the reason I would consider, number one reason, is weight, and it's even probably more important, obviously, with the Jambos.
So y'all watched the previous interview with Daniel Nicolai that we had done?
I saw bits and pieces of it.
So Daniel Nicolai has upgraded to a higher amperage battery, and those batteries, if I recall correctly, is around the range of 130 pounds a piece. I mean, it's an amazing amp battery, but the weight alone, which I correct me if I'm right with this, Randy. I mean, your boat, and I've seen it on the water. I mean, you definitely can handle more weight within your boat and be fine.
Yeah, I'm good now. I mean, I ain't got no problem with what I'm doing. I'd like to have stronger trolling motors, but
and that's what I was going to ask you next. With technology advancing and different things, everybody's got a wish list. So if you could change your setup on your boat, what would it be?
It'll probably be a 36 on the front.
You want to do like an Ultrex, or you want to lean towards Ghost? Or a Garmin?
Probably an Ultrex, something like that. Probably an Ultrex, or I actually like the Garmin, tell you the truth. It's too pricey right now. But, man, there's so many trolling motors coming out these days, it's ridiculous. I look for the prices to go down one day. I mean, they're either going to do that or they're going to be stuck with a bunch of them.
I will tell you this, I bought an Ultrex last year for my bass boat, and bought it maybe in late April, early May, and I had a friend that bought one this year, and the price of them, not advertised, but you go on Bass Boat Central and look at dealers, has actually come up on the Ultrexes due to the release of the Ghost, and what's the Ghost is the Lowrance, right?
Correct.
And then the Garmin. I think I paid $21.50 for my Ultrex 36 volt, and he bought the same one I had, and he couldn't get it under $24.50.
Wow. Yeah, I dropped about $2,000 for my 24 volt 80-pound thrust Ultrex when I bought mine.
And I bet you it's another $100-$200 more now because the other motors are out.
Yep.
You would think competition would drive the prices down, but it actually brought the Ultrex. But I was shocked when he told me what he had to pay for it.
Yep.
Well, I know the use old Trex there's people almost selling them for $400 or $500. The regular old Trexes when they're replacing them.
Yep. Shane Dover, appreciate you joining in. And we'll kind of take pauses in between. So folks, make sure, leave us some comments in this video. Let us know some questions you want answered from these two anglers. And I promise you this much, I know they've got some strong background that'll be able to take in some knowledge and help give you the answer. So Geiger, let's talk about something a little interesting. Correct me if I'm right with this. Not necessarily Jambo, because I mean you're kind of blended to both. I know you took a break fishing big lake tournaments and running some of those larger scale events and such, but your bass boat's kind of unique. Not necessarily for the boat, but who had owned it beforehand.
Who owned it? Yeah. So my bass boat is an 09 Triton 21 HP. And I had, when I bought my house, I was looking for some roommates. This is back in 09, 2010. And one of the guys through Jake Aiken, which y'all know, put me in touch with a guy named Tom Frank, who was really good friends from out in California with Aaron Martins. And for the 2009, that was Aaron's 2009 boat. And for the 2010 season, he let Tom store it at my house. I had a Skeeter at the time. And so we had both bass boats in there. And I was getting ready to upgrade. And Aaron was willing to come down and cut me a heck of a deal. And that was the boat I ended up buying. It was the same boat that he caught 109 pounds out at Guntersville. We always joke around that boat's never seen that type of weight since then, but maybe one day, who knows? But yeah, so I've had that boat ever since.
And just pausing for a moment, I know with Aaron having that previous surgery back, was it a couple of weeks ago, and then he just had another one. Yep.
Yeah.
So many thoughts and prayers for days ahead for him, because my wife had pituitary tumor years ago, and I can understand for brain surgeries being challenging. So many prayers for them. And also, I mean, not taking away from y'all spotlight from the show, but seeing where Shaw Grisby has got cancer. What was it, of the bladder, kidney or something, wasn't it?
I did not hear that. Is that new?
Yes. I heard it. He's having surgery, or had surgery today, actually.
Wow. I have not heard that.
Yeah. So many thoughts, prayers for all of them. So
yeah, it's just bad luck having it like Aaron during this coronavirus thing, man. It's tough getting into hospitals and out.
Yes. So I know this much. Every time I get the invitation to come out and fish with you, Geiger, man, like every time I just sit in the boat, I think he was here in this boat. You know what I mean? Like it's a cool feeling. It really is. Not knocking you down or anything, or anything like that, but let's hear about. You've also got your John boat set up. Let's hear about your John boat set up.
So my John boat is the boat I bought. I was in college. Started doing some research, wanting to get into tournament fishing. It was my last year of school at Georgia, and I didn't know a partner, so I got Jake. Jake didn't even think had a driver's license, so I was gonna have to tow him around the tournaments at the time. He was 50. He may have just turned 16. I said, I'm going to buy this John boat. And I worked during my winter break, and I bought a 1448, I believe. It was a Alumacraft, brand new, bought it from Athens Marine. Kind of did it the first year, just put a floor in it and one little box on it. And then the next year, decked it out, all wood. Back then, I didn't know any difference. Ran it like that for quite a few years. Then I had a buddy of mine, Charlie. He redid it with aluminum back in 2000. I think it was 11 into 12. And it's been that way ever since. Now, I have not used it like I did probably from 04 through 2012, because I've been, I didn't fish obviously for a couple of years there, 14, 15, and 16. I didn't really fish John boat tournaments. And since then, we've been using Randy's boat just because he's got a better setup. But it's a little unstable, but I've won a lot of money out of it, won a lot of tournaments, had a lot of good times out of it. It's fairly quick. And actually, when occasionally we've had to put Randy's 36, because my setup right now is I got a 24 volt. It's an old Minn Kota power drive, 70-pound thrust on the front. And then on the back, I have a Motor Guide 82-pound thrust. I've got an extra small battery that runs the live well and the electronics. Right now, I've got a 1197. It was one of the graphs from Aaron's boat that I switch. I use it just for graphing in my bass boat, but I'll switch it over to my John boat. But I'm thinking right now about putting a new transducer, and I've upgraded to Garmin 93 SVs and get a new transducer to where I can use that graph. It's got built-in GPS, and I can do the recording, obviously, to start recording some of these small lakes. But the boat, when we've done it once or twice, stuck Randy's 36 volt on the back, and it scoots pretty quick. I think we're hitting 5 1/4 with that setup. And I mean, I've kicked around the idea of upgrading. There's a little nostalgia there. I'm kind of like hanging on to that boat, just some of the past history. And I've thought about upgrading a couple times, but just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Yeah. And I know there's always been when you mentioned Jake, you know, when we first started all fishing together in John boats, it was always a joke. I don't know if you remember or not, but Jake was not very photogenic when it come to fishing and everything. So I got a picture here I want to show you, and I believe I know maybe what lake this is from. I was just going.
I know. You know where it is, Merritt?
I'm trying to feel. I think I do.
You know, Randy? Ackworth. Yep, Ackworth. We threw, that was 2010. I think we threw a pot tournament on Memorial Day weekend out there.
I could kind of tell just kind of the background stuff. That's why I was wanting to just test your knowledge there and just make sure that's where it was. So I mean, tell me if I'm right. That's where you cut your teeth a lot on John boat fishing Lake Ackworth a lot.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, Ackworth was tough. But boy, I can tell you, you hit it right, man. You can kill it out there. And I would honestly say where I cut my teeth was Latham. I mean, the first John boat lake I think I ever went to was Latham. I bought a 10-footer. A friend of mine, I was a senior in high school, knew somebody, a friend of his, and they had a 10-foot John boat, and this thing leaked, and we were constantly putting JB Weld or whatever else you could come up with. Always had a bucket in it, but had one little back trolling motor, put some carpet in it, and we would take that thing around. And I remember taking it up to Latham in 2002. And I had that boat for a few years until I, still had it for a couple of years even after I got a John boat. But I cut my teeth probably at Latham, and I went to went to Lake Kedron down in Peachtree City in that boat a couple times. Definitely took it out to Ackworth. But those are probably the 3 lakes that I think I fished. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I took. Those are the main 3 lakes that I took it to. I think I went to there was a lake out near Black Shoals. I could call Brooks Lake. Took it out there. We were always looking around. We one time took it to Tanner Creek State Park. I put it in the back of my truck. We went out to the O2 Bassmaster Classic. Jay Ellis won it. On the way out there, we stopped and fished Tanner Creek State Park, I think is what it was called, for a couple hours. And then I had that thing in the back of the truck, and we went on to Birmingham. So I was trying to find small, other than Latham, most of the lakes we had looked for didn't necessarily have a boat ramp because you could carry it, but 50-acre lakes or something like that.
That's awesome. So Bryson Hall, this is the man if y'all ever need to take and talk with. Castleberry Performance Lure Company. Appreciate that. He's also got a question here for y'all. So if y'all want to take this in one at a time, Randy, if you want to go first with it, how do you prepare mentally for such a significant tournament, knowing what competition lies ahead? How do you prepare for something like that?
I'll be honest with you, I prepare for the lake myself. I mean, whatever conditions it is, that's the way I fish it, tell you the truth. Depending on the time of year, if I'm going shallow or deep, and sometimes I try it all, to be honest with you, to see where they're at.
So let's take and step it up to another level. Maybe this is what he might be going towards, was maybe the state event, Georgia Bass-TEC. You already fished one, going into a second one.
I lost you.
Can you hear me?
I got you, Mary.
You still there, Randy?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay. He might have meant something like this along those lines of the competition. you've already had one state championship event that you've competed in, going into a second one. Do you have certain preparations for a large scale tournament like that differently than other ones, or is it all pretty much like what you said, just the lake itself?
Yeah, I fish them all the same. Like I say, I fish the lake, really not the people. I really don't think about the people that much, just to be honest with you. I mean, all the ones we fish, they're all the same people's there, you know.
Yeah.
And I do it the same way. Like I say, whatever time of year it is the way I'm fishing.
So I want to echo what Randy said. I agree with him mostly there, especially Jambo. It's almost all the same people there. The only couple things that I see that we might do different is if you're in a club event per se, and maybe you're fishing for points, you might towards the end of the day try to get a keeper or two, focus a little bit more on points. Whereas if it's a state championship deal, there's no points on the line. We're going to be swinging for it regardless. We're trying to win. Now,
yeah, I agree with that.
On the bass level and bass boats, there is different level of competition. If I'm fishing a pit crew tournament, let's say at Lake Lanier, versus a smaller club or something like that, I may have a little different outlook, or as far as what I got it. I mean, if I know I got to catch 20 pounds, I'm not saying I'm not going all out, but I may risk something or do something a little bit more, as you say, swing for the fence, depending on the competition. If I think I can get away, because obviously when you say you're swinging for the fence, you're probably sacrificing bites to try to get big fish. Sometimes you can play the numbers game and win a tournament when there's not quite as many sticks in the field.
So sorry. I was trying to get us back on screen here. There we go. That's the right way. So good question. Appreciate that question, Bryson. So make sure y'all folks out here fire us out some questions. Touch base on, we talked about Yahuwah in our pre-interview, and y'all had mentioned, I believe it was one night tournament where the gentleman had took and had fished with his, I believe it was his girlfriend at the time, and I believe his name is Paul, if I remember correctly. So, and I hope he don't mind. I actually, again, it's amazing what you find on Woody's forum in John Boat Fishing Reports. So I have found where he had that one fish. And I believe it was that night, and you can still see his arm where y'all go ahead and tell the story what had happened.
Well, his arms wet probably because he only had two, and they were both about that size. Yeah. And the second one jumped out of the live well. That was back when we weren't trailering, and I know some clubs, I don't know if high voltage has changed. Back when I was in high voltage, there was no trailering. You pulled them out, and that was always, I mean, we were always super nervous. We would set our fishing bags up on two sides and a net on the third side of the live well, trying to block the live well so a fish didn't escape. Well, for him that night, he lost one, and it cost him to our benefit. Luckily, we ended up winning, but he definitely would have had it had that fish not jumped out.
And correct me if I'm right with this, Geiger. Was this the same night?
That same night. That
was the same night. That's what I was thinking. And there's the famous picture that we always gave.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, that's it.
That is the one that is photogenic ability. So,
well, that showed you it was a tough night because look at that. That was a 5 fish limit, and there was only 3. That was
different. That
was the first time I ever went to the lake, and I think we didn't get back to the ramp till late at night, and that was 7 something. I remember catching that one on crank. First time I ever went there.
Yahuwah, the way it used to be, was just amazing. Amazing. So I've got another picture that I'd actually resurfaced as well. So, and I believe, if I remember right, this was a SWAT event maybe. So, remember this one, Randy?
Yeah, I sure do. It was SWAT.
Man, I remember that was towards the beginning, and I don't remember exactly who those guys were in the back, but I took the walk of shame as well. Whenever I seen y'all bring that bag of fish in, I was like, man, what lake was y'all on? Y'all crushed them that day. And I know it ain't no 30-pound bag, but that was definitely a very healthy stringer of fish.
It was. I don't remember myself, but it was a good one. Sure was.
So let me get back over here. I get talking to other stuff. So Fishbone, appreciate you getting on here. Like the comment we was talking about, the pros and cons to trailer. There's definitely pros and cons to it. One of the biggest cons for taking out of the water is obviously it takes some time getting everybody set up before they start beginning the weigh in and everything like that. So but there's always that's everything you do. So appreciate your comment with us, Fishbone. So I know we've got the upcoming state championship. We have a date that has been selected. It's going to be closer to fall towards winter. I know, Geiger, you and I have talked. No beating around the bush. I know you're a serious deer hunter. But going into this event in the fall, are y'all kind of looking forward to it, knowing that maybe the bite could be, postponed? There's some big weights that just come out of there recently, but does it kind of strike y'all's interest a little bit as well, fall fishing and stuff?
I like fall fishing myself. I do, especially in November. I know everybody likes to deer hunt, but I ain't deer hunting like I used to, and I really love fishing in November and October, to be honest with you.
I don't care to fish in October. I actually do like fishing in November, probably because a lot of my October fishing has been some of the big lakes, and they can get really tough. I've spent a lot of time out on the Tennessee River and due to different regional tournaments and things like that, and it can get super tough out there. November, obviously, I like to deer hunt, but November is actually a good month to fish. There's no doubt about it. It could be a fun bite. I mean, I suspect that lake, from what I've done out there, it's no secret. Randy and I, everyone calls us the Dragon Team. I think that's what we're comfortable with. That we like to slow when it's tough. We got no problem slowing down and dragging something, and we can catch fish. We're confident. I've always been that way ever since I started fishing. It's probably a little more on the, or maybe a little more on the power side versus, and we'll still drop shot and shaky head, but a moving bait bite, I think. I don't know enough about the lake yet. We're still new. I think Randy's been there 4 times, and I've been there 5. Never fished in the fall. I would like to get on some sort of moving bait bite out there if possible. Randy, I might have to put it on you for pre-fishing. I'll be in the deer woods.
I hear you.
You'll have to find it out for us.
Yeah, and it has changed this year. 14 days is what's going to be I believe I remember right, it's 14 days for the cutoff for pre-fishing of the state championship. So it gives an opportunity not only for that, but also for classics to get finished, and we can still host because if we've done 30 days, it'd be too tight to it. So you mentioned this, and this is one thing that I believe everybody definitely would agree to this. Y'all two are probably, I feel like this, probably within the state in Jambo fishing, the most consistent anglers on trails, point blank. I mean, y'all were able to, in the toughest of conditions, and like you just said, I mean, y'all are draggers. You're able to take in, during those tough conditions and, just grind it out.
Well, I had a lot of luck last year. I don't expect the deer to do nowhere near that good this year, but I definitely drag a lot, and I like top water too. I like top water a lot too. Yes.
So Geiger just texted me saying, "Give him just a minute." He had actually had some problems, I think, with his internet connections in the very, very beginning.
Gotcha.
So I think he just lost connection. So he'll get right back on here in just a minute. So I know Randy, you was really ecstatic during that classic over there for EBO fishing that one.
Man, I was. It was slow, but I was catching the right fish, at the right times, it seemed like, just one of them days. It was slow all day, but I caught the right ones at the right times, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Especially on day 2. If he'll ever show day 2, I don't know if Brett will ever get day 2 up, but I sure would like to see day 2, to be honest with you. It was a good day between me and Jeff and David, tell you the truth.
Day 2 was a very memorable time for you as well, wasn't it?
It was, and if you get a chance to watch day 1 again, Merrick, listen to what I tell Jeff and David. On day 1, on that first one,
yeah,
I was talking to them, and I said, look, you can't win it today, but you can sure lose it on day 1. And that's what they done. Come down day 2, it was between us, and sure enough, I took them. It was pretty cool, really.
Day 1 done it. I didn't even catch that when I watched it.
If you get a chance, watch the first day again, check it out.
All right, Geiger, you've been
David and Jeff about that.
You got me back.
Yeah, you've been debunked from the top. You're pushed on the bottom now. So we was talking about the classic that Randy had fished solo over there at Rocky Mountain. And Randy, I'm gonna straight tell you, man, like I am so impressed. Like your camera ability, the way you need to be a commentator. Like Georgia Bass-TEC, if you don't ever qualify, I'm gonna figure out a way to stick a microphone in your hand, and you're gonna be the guy commentating.
It's easy when ain't nobody standing there watching. I had to have somebody to talk to,
But it's
that's for sure. Randy and I talk the whole time.
But Geiger, tell me this. I mean, the knowledge base with Randy. I mean, Randy. I mean, you and your brother both. I mean, we've known it in SWAT the same way. When y'all fished with us together all those years. I mean, we never knew what was going to come out of y'all's bag. I mean, sometimes it didn't happen. Yeah. But we knew y'all had 5 fish almost every tournament. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen y'all not come in with 5 fish with you and your brother. The knowledge base that you got, I mean, the same thing when you commentaried out there on the water for the 2 days of the Classic. I mean, just want to pick your brain apart, honestly.
Yeah. Everything fell right that day for sure. It really did. Like I said, all the talking. Like I said, I was just talking like somebody was sitting there,
Oh, so
I'd even ask Brett if he wanted a Coke when I'd go get me a Coke out of the cooler.
He didn't show that part, did he?
No.
So Fishbone is John Long. My bad, brother. I could hardly quite see your avatar to tell your picture to exactly who you are. So appreciate it, John. Him and Jack Butler was on our last interview. So, I don't really have much any more to say. Other than congratulations again to both of y'all going into this 2020 Georgia Bass-TEC. I know it's going to be swinging for the fence. It's going to be fun. We've got a lot of great things planned. So with it changing now to fall of the year, what do y'all think as far as, do y'all think it's going to be lesser weights, more of a struggle, or might be even holding consistent?
Weights could be about the same because the tournament was supposed to be at the end of the month, right? Wasn't it originally at the end of May?
It was. We was planning it for May 30th, but now it's going to be I'll say this much, it's going to be in the month of November. I know all the presidents were told to get with all their anglers that compete of the date for the event before we take and publish everything. So you just tell me, whatever you feel like.
Well, I'll say this. You got a better chance of a front impacting it one way or the other in November than you do in May, because the front, there aren't very many fronts that come through at the end of May that are really going to affect fishing too much. You get a lot more consistency. You could have it go one way, more than likely either it's steady or you could have some drastic cold front, and you don't know if it's the day of the cold front or 2 days later that it affects the fish. That's right. So you don't know.
Yes. And if any lake, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong with this, I've only been there 2 times and seen the lake, but once was in the fall of the year, about the time the event's going to be. Cold fronts on that lake, it hurts those fish drastically. I mean, we even kind of experienced it back in March of last year a little bit. If I remember right, there was a little bit of a cool front to come in.
Yeah, you know what? I actually kind of would prefer that. I think it fits our style of fishing a little bit better. If it, I'm being honest. That's probably more up our alley.
Yeah.
Which we have seen some 70, 80-degree days for Thanksgiving though, haven't we? Though.
That's
it could be
for
nice
sure.
in November. I tell you, I've had some real good Thanksgiving weeks fishing over the years, especially at Latham. That's a good week at Latham. I can tell you that.
Yes. So Dustin Diamond's got us a question. He was one of our other anglers as well. So if y'all are a dragon team, which they are, what is, and y'all both can give an answer of this if y'all would like. Hope y'all do. What is your favorite thing to fish low with?
Go ahead, Randy.
A beaver type bait a lot.
So it depends where I'm at. Up here in these northern lakes, Hickory Log, Latham, Carter's, probably a drop shot. When I was fishing high voltage more, a little shallower, it was a shaky head.
And I can vouch for Geiger with a drop shot. I've been out there with him, and I can throw the exact same bait, exact same weight, chunk it out there, and it may be just it's definitely the fisherman. I can't even get bit. The Geiger sitting there just, there's another one. So, Randy,
drop shot really comes into play too about Thanksgiving on.
Let's hear about colors. Y'all willing to share some expansion of colors, maybe?
I throw a couple different colors, to be honest with you. I like a natural looking color. A lot of times I'll throw the green pumpkin, and sometimes I'll throw the watermelon red, morning dawns, blue, black and blue.
And you don't even necessarily have to say colors too. I mean, like, for example, correct me if I'm right with this, guys. When you're dealing with a lake that's predominant largemouth, then you're probably going to stick more crawfish natural colors. If
it's clear water, I like natural.
Yeah, and if you're dealing with more spotted bass and stuff, you might be dealing more of brighter colors, or right.
Yeah, and we throw drop shot a lot more if we're fishing spotted bass lakes.
Yep. Go ahead, Geiger. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, Randy's right on. I mean, it's to me, it's more water clarity probably than it is. But I mean, spotted bass lakes are more conducive to drop shot. But I mean, a shaky head's just as good. I don't feel as good about on an all largemouth lake throwing a drop. Now it'll work, but you're not
going to get the right.
Hickory Log's about the only lake I think that I feel where I got a lot of confidence. That's pretty much predominantly largemouth. But they beat it. I mean, you can talk to 10 different people and they'll drag 10 different things and I'll go out there and catch 20, 25 bass a day. It's just whatever you're confident in at that lake.
Being nobody's asking questions as much as usual, I'm going to ask a question. And if you don't want to give an answer to it, then we can just move along and go to the next one. But drop shot, are y'all willing to tell the type of drop shot, the hook, necessarily maybe of the setup for drop shotting? Because it's a unique pattern that I started picking up on not long ago as well. Yeah, willing to?
I'll tell you what I throw. I like a tungsten weight when it comes to drop shotting. And I throw a tungsten weight on everything. I use a plug knocker too to save them. If I was losing a bunch of them, I would not use them because I couldn't afford them. But I throw nothing but tungsten. And I like that. What's the name of that hook, Geiger?
Rebarb.
The what?
Rebarb.
The rebarb hook, and I throw it in a 1/0 light wire. It's the only thing I throw.
That was what I was getting at, because that hook, the way it's rigged, it is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. That hook too, and I've gone predominantly to that, but that once you get to a smaller type 3 or 4 inch bait that you're drop shotting, say like in a live shad or something like that, you can't get the action with that hook. So you'll have to go back to a traditional drop shot hook. But if you're throwing a worm 6 inches or longer, I prefer that hook.
Are you talking about nose hooking one?
Yeah, nose hooking one. Yeah. When you got that little short live shad, you can't do that with with the rebarb. But if I can get away with the rebarb, I'm throwing a rebarb.
It makes a big difference. I fished it, and it's just 9-day difference to me. I love it. So, man,
I honestly don't have the rod, I don't think, to throw the nose hook thing. I think I used to lose a lot of fish because I got the GLX 610 drop shot rod, and I think you need the one, and it's the one, I think it's from I think it's 6 to 10 pound line. You need the one throwing the nose hook. I think the 4 pound to like 8 pound or 10, 4 to 10 or whatever it is, a lighter rod than what I throw for sure. Because I lost a lot of fish on that nose hook. It don't compare to me throwing that other hook.
So I got a broad question that I just swinging from the hip here, just asking. Where do y'all see? I mean, we've kind of been the origination in North Georgia between all of us fishing these pot tournaments and stuff. Where do y'all see? Because I mean, Jambo fishing has drastically, in my opinion, changed from when we started back in 2006 and even before. Where do y'all see maybe in the next 5 years, 10 years? Randy, if you want to go first.
Well, I won't be thinking about 10 years probably, but I can't be honest with you. I couldn't tell you. I mean, you hear of different baits. Like every year they come out with new baits and they work, and people jump on the bandwagon like the Whopper Plopper 3 or 4 years ago. You know, when it come out, it was crazy. And, you know, everything when it comes out, something new comes out, everybody stays with it for a while, and it'll always catch fish, you know. It's like a Texas rig come out years ago. People still throw it today, you know. Drop shot came out. Everybody's throwing drop shots. If you catch fish, they're going to do it. But I'm sure there'll be something new come out.
I remember back in the days with the Cincos at Latham, like that was the thing, man. Like $7 for.
That's back in the day. That's about all I threw back in the day. A weightless Cinco.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you the last time that I have bought, and I'm being very serious on this. When I have bought a pack of just Gary Yamamoto Cincos.
I got them. But another thing, people's throwing a lot of is the wacky rigs. You know, that's another thing that's huge right now. You know.
Yes.
Eric, I'll talk. You asked about the Jambo thing, and you know, part of it is it's definitely growing here in North Georgia. Obviously, we struggle to have enough lakes to jump around and not pound the same lake over and over. Obviously, Latham has got a lot of pressure due to the obviously just how it's exploded, and it's a much better fishery than what it was. You know, here with electric bass, we fished Stamp Creek and we fished Lanier, and or we've had it on the schedule. We haven't been out there yet, and there's pluses and minuses to doing that. My biggest concern for the solely electric lakes are, you know, if you looked at like this past weekend out in the Hickory Log, and Randy and I counted coming back in 35 John boats and 47 kayaks on the water, and it was a zoo out there. And I just worry with the lack of lakes and resources and stuff, do we get, you know, limits put on to where, you know, we cap it at 25 boats in the lake and no one else can show up? Or do some of these lakes, I know down south they got some of them where it's county residents only. I hope that doesn't happen. I wish we had access to some of those lakes as well. That's some concern. Everyone, you know, we talk about growing the sport, which it is a good thing. And we've gone from 4 clubs to, I think, 7 this year in Bass-TEC, or 5 clubs to 7, which is good, but you got pressure, and every lake every single week is having. I mean, Latham, I think they had a tournament until the coronavirus hit, from middle of February through middle of May every single weekend, and they don't get a break. And the only way to get a break is either someone limits the tournaments, which would be terrible, or, you know, hopefully we have more lakes. I know there's one opening soon in Paulding County. I don't know, a couple years out. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. I think Richland Creek might be the name. That's one of the disadvantages we have up here as far as the northern schedule versus some of the southern guys. But that would be my concern. Just the crowding. Believe it or not, one of the reasons I kind of went to focus a little bit more on the big lakes is I got a little frustrated in the past with some of the crowding on the John boats, and believe it or not, it got worse on the big lakes, and I feel the John boat lakes are a little less crowded these days than even the big lakes are.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. Pressure's definitely changed. So we've had one more question come in. There's still time, folks. If you've got some questions you want to ask, some more folks have logged on to here. Just make sure, leave us a comment. Let us know before we take and sign off of here. You've got some time. So Shane Dover has got a question about, is a Carolina rig a part of y'all's arsenal, or have the other techniques took its place?
For me, the other techniques has took its place, but I'll tell you the truth, we've been talking about a Carolina rig. Well, I think Geiger has thrown one recently.
I threw one a couple weeks ago, but that's probably the first time I've thrown it in 2 years. I mean, I like it, but I don't have. I mean, it has its place, and Randy, you can probably speak to some of the techniques that have taken over. For me, same places I would throw a Carolina rig. I like on more shallower tapering points. If I'm going to throw that, I'll probably throw a shaky head on that, and if it's deeper, I'd throw a drop shot.
Yeah, Carolina rig for me, I like a big flat, a big small pebble flat or a clay flat or something where you can throw a long way. Anything else, I'll usually throw a Texas rig, to be honest with you, or a drop shot. You know, deeper clear lakes like we fish up here, it's a lot of it's a drop shot.
It's a great question there, and I've got here out of the woodworks. I don't know if y'all seen the comment already in here. Out of the woodworks, we've got another Woody's Forum originator. I don't know if y'all know who this is or not, but I believe it's through him. Fish Atlanta. I don't know if y'all remember Fish Atlanta origination.
Randall Kirkpatrick.
So he made the comment about Richland Creek. It's filling up as of last week, a couple of miles away, third full by early May, then limiting to a couple of feet a week. So basically, that's the way the guidelines that the state with safe dams requires for these water supply reservoirs when they're built. We all witnessed it at Latham and same thing at Hickerlog, that you're allowed to come up, and basically from that water, it can only go up so many feet per week, just so that way they can monitor and make sure the safety and the integrity of the dam is held up safely. So, and if I remember right, Richland Creek is a earthen-filled dam. It's going to be, do y'all remember? Is it 500 acres, 300 acres?
People are saying 500,
Yeah.
but I've seen 305 is what I've consistently seen. American, I'll ask you this question: if it's starting to fill now, what is your best guess? You know more probably about based on what you saw in Hickory Log. What is your best guess if it's, like I said, third of the way now? When do you think it would open?
So, and I'm trying to read between the lines of what he was saying. The third full by early May. So we're fixing to get into the drought season. Odds are it's going to be very challenging, which we've had a lot of rain, but could be challenging to reach full pool. Unless, one hurricane comes through this fall, it'll probably reach full pool. Depending on when they stock the lake, with Hickerlog, when it was about half full pool, they stocked the lake one time, and then they came back and restocked it again when it was closer to full pool.
Does time of the year matter? Because half full pool is probably going to be middle of the summer.
It just depends on the hatcheries. If I remember correctly, most of the time that hatcheries will dump their fish out, it's going to be springish. I think it's because they'll go through spawning them, and then they'll get the hatchlings, and the hatchlings will have to get large enough. So what you're seeing is probably the following year's hatchlings that's grown up a little bit maturity. They call them fingerlings, but Hickerlog, it took, when they stocked it, there's a 2-year, unless DNR has changed the guidelines, there's a 2-year moratorium once they introduce fish into a reservoir like that no public access is allowed, just to allow those bait fish packages as well as the fish to be able to sustain. So we're looking at
2023
probably, if they even allow the public to access that.
Yeah, if they allow it, and if it's not county residents only.
So I mean, not to keep living on this comment, but Fish Atlanta, man, Randall, I have the highest respect for you, because I know They took and waylaid us down there at the last state championship few years back that we used to do, and man, he is awesome. I keep wanting to say glide fisherman, but swim bait fisherman. I mean, if y'all haven't got over and checked him out, he sells them Fish Atlanta, and we're not sponsored by him or anything to promote. Just facts are he's awesome at throwing them as well. So appreciate that comment, Blake Yarder. Geiger, to piggyback off of Merrick's comment earlier, if you could run a trail, how would you run the trail? Entry fees, classics, etc., off limits, bigger pay. Man, that's a good question. I'm gonna sit back.
So, interestingly, I've kicked around this idea with multiple people for years, and I've ran a trail in the past that we put together. We back in 2012. Charlie, Dick, and I put together the Varner Team Trail, and that was a fun trail. That we had good weights back then. That was before they introduced the carp and killed off all the grass. I would love to have a trail that we could try to, and I'm one that's always fished both. I've fished high voltage and I've fished up here, with SWAT and electric bass, and one of the reasons I've transitioned, we've now got more lakes to fish up here. Latham has gotten better. The biggest reason probably has been the Atlanta traffic, unfortunately. I mean, from where I'm at, I can get down to Varner, Hard Labor Creek, hour and 10 minutes, somewhere in that range. Coming home, though, it might be 2+, and that gets kind of frustrating. It wasn't like that back in, late early 2000s, mid 04, 05, 06, that time frame. But if I could run a trail, I'd like to see a little bit of an increase entry fee. I'd like to try to pull it from both north and south. Try to put it together some sort of schedule. Fish maybe once a month. Talking entry fee somewhere around 120. I'd like to see a classic. I think Joey Morse has done a good job with electric as far as getting their classic pot up. It's one of the main reasons we even fished the trail this year, because when we found out we had qualified, Randy won over $2,000 last year fishing by himself. So that's, I'd like to have a classic that would have at least that. And I would put together something, 8 or 9 tournaments, and it would be a little bit of both lakes. I'd probably go to Hickory Log. I'd go to Latham. Might throw Rocky Mountain in there to keep the northern guys interested. And as I stated, we don't have as many lakes up here. And then I would probably go to Hard Labor. Might go there twice. Have a Varner, Stone Mountain, Black Shoals, and potentially even throw one even a little further down south, like a High Falls or a Lucas or a Juliet or something like that. I just have to get type of feedback from everyone. I would enjoy doing that. My biggest concern with ever not putting that together in the past, or even though it's been kicked around and we've talked about it with some people, can I get the participation? One idea we've thought is, and I know we've kind of had to do it with a couple of these clubs that I think Delonigas maxed at 20, Electrics 25. I think we did 20 or 22 Merrick loose for SWAT. I can't remember. Maybe doing something like only 15 boats, but I want to make sure it doesn't, guys are going to commit to fish it and not fall off. I don't want someone to say, hey, I'll join, but I'm just going to fish 5 of the 8. I'm not going to come up there and fish Rocky Mountain and Hickory Log and let them. I'm a, middle Georgia guy or something like that. It would be something that, if you're going to commit, I get things come up, but I'd like to see everyone fish them all, build the classic up, and just be a trail where be good money on the line each and every tournament. It's something I would like to do. Not sure if we'll get off the ground, but it's definitely something I'd like to attempt to do.
So
I also myself, you missed that part of it, Geiger. I'd like the 3-day cutoff too before a tournament.
Oh, I didn't say that. Yeah. So that is big. To me, it's bigger with obviously around the spawn. You don't have to worry about someone going and getting on the fish or just beating the lake up if it's a smaller type lake. As soon as you raise entry fees to 120, you're going to have a lot more guys that are going to be out there practicing. I know for me, I don't necessarily practice the day before for many $50 John boat tournaments, but when I fish a $200 bass boat tournament, I'm almost always on the lake the day before practicing. So you can eliminate that. I may even do a 5-day off limit. You can practice up till the Sunday before, and then put it off for that. Joey does, I think, 3 days, which is fine as well.
That was a really good question. It really was. And I used to run the Varner Trail and stuff. That was a really good question there, Mr. Yarder. So Randall confirmed it. 305 acres is Richland Creek Reservoir.
Wow.
I think it lays out that it fishes pretty. The layout I saw from the drawings looked like it could fish large. I mean, you look at Hickory Log, it's 411, but in my opinion, I feel Hickory Log fishes fairly big. You go to some lake like Carter's Re-Reg, it fishes super small, and it's got more surface acres than Hickory Log.
Yes, most definitely. So one of his comments here, big advantage is they can run through summer, through Allatoona power generation. I'm thinking full by fall and stocked in spring, then a long 2-year wait. That's
2023. Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much so. Right in lines of what we was talking about. And I was going to try to pull something up on showing that Richland Creek, but I ain't going to be able to pull it up quick enough with it. So Blake also stated, sounds like a great idea. Have the best in the state trail, move around the state with higher entries, more payback. I'd be interested. And that's, you really look at it and John boat fishing and look at what's happening. Okay, same thing. Okay, you had FLW, you had bass, right? They stayed in their same element year after year for how many years? And then poof, MLF showed up. It changed things. And correct me if I'm right with this, when we started out 2006, it was changing. I mean, we constantly was modifying, changing things all the time with John boat fishing, and it's still changing. So like you're talking about, Geiger, doing something like that, kind of creating like an elite, the best of the best, I ain't worried about it because I probably won't get an invitation, and I can still be fishing with the smaller group. Then,
I mean, it's a big commitment. You got to be able to, it's tougher. I mean, you're up there in Jasper. Randy's up there in Dawsonville. I am actually in a location. I mean, ideally, people that live, not many people want to live in the middle of Atlanta, but the closer you live to Atlanta, from a travel perspective, makes it easier to get to all the lakes. I'm in Woodstock and I'm right off the interstate. Like I said, I can shoot down to just about, I don't think there's a lake without traffic. I can get to, down there in Macon in an hour and 25 minutes. I mean, all these lakes are fairly close. Randy, just to go to hard labor takes you, 2 hours and 10 minutes, Randy?
Yep, sure does.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge, is finding enough people. I mean, I don't want to put it together. If I put it together, I don't want it to put it together and have, no knock on it, because I fished high voltage, but have 15 high voltage teams or fishing it, and then no one from the north. I'd like to have a good combination of a couple, the guys that really want to commit, the best of the best from all the trails, and I'd probably if we were going to do it, just try to garner some interest and see if guys, before you throw something together and then you don't get the participation. If you knew I had the participation in advance, something to consider put together.
So I'm trying to pull up. I've got a picture here. So I'm trying to get it. It's uploading. So here is a conceptual drawing of Richland Creek Reservoir.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
You can see the earthen dam. You can see over the left highlighted in yellow. That's their water treatment facility. And I believe also the public access is going to be where that point comes out.
Right in the middle there?
Yeah, I think it's right in that middle draw between those two little main lake points that come out. So, I mean, it very, very reasonably location as far as the boat ramp. You'll be able to access down lake, up lakes, kind of, midstream a little bit. So, and it's kind of I would almost call it a bowl shape kind of, but it's got a good,
it's got a lot of fingers and cuts and stuff. That's what I picked up on. So it looks like a lot of fishable water.
Yes. And I definitely ain't gonna show all the pictures of all the construction and all the things that's there. So I mean, we all do it. We all know the research to go out there and look at it anyway. So
Is it a deep lake? You know?
I don't know how tall necessarily the. I'm thinking it's going to be roughly around 120, I think 140 foot. The dam itself. So water behind it may not be roughly, probably Latham depth.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Merrick, you aware of any other lakes being, whether north or south or mid, or anybody listening in of any other John boat lakes being built?
So I did hear, probably shouldn't even say it with it, but they've got the permit on the reservoir up in Dawson County. I believe it's Dawson County. It may be.
I've been hearing talk about it for years.
Off of is it Bannister? Not Bannister. No, not Bannister.
City of Atlanta track one that Randy, the big, they weren't they talking about the City of Atlanta track? Yeah.
This ain't that one. This is the one that's up there. It's up there off the Etowah River. It's actually right next to where my brother-in-law lives up there in Dawsonville. So I have heard, and it ain't going to be but like 100 acres, I think, 120. From the conversations I've heard, they're not going to allow it open to the public. That's the rumor that I've heard. The Glades Creek, Glades Farm, I believe, the other one that was over towards North Hall, Forsyth, I think. Actually, it was Forsyth, I think. I don't know where it's at on permitting status. It was a massive, I think they ran into so much legalities that it stalled. It's going to take some time to get back and running. But other than that, I mean, there is no other. I mean, I would say what we have probably is going to be it for our generation to come. So back to John Long, not Fishbone, John Long. Definitely sounds like a great idea. Just talking about it the other day, have more of an elite tournament trail all across the state. So appreciate those comments, guys. Great conversation pieces. And, you know, unless somebody else has anything, men, Randy, Geiger, I know we're getting over an hour here talking, and this definitely could keep going, but seems like we're just now finally turning on the conversation pieces, ain't we, to some interesting topics. So, but thank y'all, man, honestly, for taking time and getting on here. You've done a good
job putting this all together, Merrick. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you've done a good job. Thanks a lot, Merrick, and hope everybody's families and everybody's staying healthy and staying in like they should.
Yes. So I'm going to take a moment, go through our sponsors one last time, give another opportunity. If you've got a question real fast that you want to take and ask, if you just jumped on here, you'll have a few minutes, maybe after, just moments after the sponsor list and stuff like that. So give you some time to type on it. So that way, if you want to take and give some final comments for the show. So let me get back over here. Man, I have added way too many pictures into all this now. G2 Gemini Jersey, I'd like to thank them for their sponsorship commitment here with Georgia Bass-TEC on our Hooked Up Live interviews. They'll be giving 25% off all angler, I keep wanting to say angler jerseys, all their jersey apparel orders. All you have to do is once you get online to G2 Gemini Jerseys, at the very bottom, promotion code G2 Georgia spelled out 20. You'll receive 25% off all apparel orders. So we thank them for their wonderful commitment to Georgia Bass-TEC. Dugout Bait and Tackle. Again, we're giving away this hat. Dugout Bait and Tackle. All you have to do, like this video, leave us a comment. And, you know, I've noticed this, folks. You do not have to be on the live show to leave us a comment. So after this is already showed, all you have to do is get on that YouTube. I can see the live comments, and I can see the comments afterwards. So if you sit back and you watch this again, you want to take time to be entered in for this free drawing, by all means, get on here, leave us a comment, but giving away some free items. Get down there and check them out. Dugout Bait and Tackle. They've got all your bait, all your tackle needs, and they are selling a lot of bait and also selling a lot of kayaks. So get down there and check them out. Craig, Jamie would be glad to see you. Rejuvenade live well treatment formula. We'll be giving away one of their free bottles, which is right here, of the live well treatment. One of the best in the industry out there. You can buy them everywhere around locally. Great product, helps getting into those warmer months. Make sure to put it in there to help keep your fish sustained, so that way they get back in the water at the end of the day. we can keep fishing for them. So thank Rejuvenade for their sponsorship. We're going to be giving one of these bottles free away. Castleberry Performance Lures, we have items directly through them, jigs. They have chatterbaits. They have all sorts of different baits products, shaky heads, bunch of different baits. If you haven't, get over there, check them out on Facebook. They've got all their product lines there for you. Castleberry Performance Lure. They've also been in some stores recently, adding some more. So get over there and check them out. We'll be giving away some of their free jigs. Appreciate their sponsorship to our Hooked Up Lives. Line Taming Serum. We have some awesome product we're going to be giving away. They've got their net gator. We're going to be giving that away. Not whether or not it would take and keep you from catching the coronavirus, but I definitely used mine instead of going out there and buying those N95 filter mask. I'm just, call me old school if you want, but I like those fishing masks pretty good. So if you get over and check them out, Line Taming Serum on their Facebook page. They've got a lot of products, line conditioner. They have a lot of different scents and oils that you can put on your baits, help out. So we'll be giving away one of their bottles of the line conditioner, Line Taming Serum, as well as a net gator. Get over and check them out. We appreciate Line Taming Serum for their sponsorship. So I noticed I was sitting there watching, let me make sure these last few comments. John said one more time, in all honesty, future John boat fishing, I think there's going to be a divide between trolling motors and electric motors. I've heard guys and clubs restricting big motors and electronics. That is an interesting topic.
I hadn't heard that.
So I can see that though.
So, and I'd heard this, watched the video, and I loved it. Fish North Georgia guys. I believe they was the ones that had mentioned on one of their YouTube videos that they had said, let's make a tournament, no electronics. You can't even bring them on the boat. Just go out there blind fishing. So, I would love it. Y'all, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be an awesome, just go blind.
Well, you're not fishing none of the lake. If you got a lot of boats, you don't know if you're in 60 foot of water or 22 foot of water,
In the spring, it doesn't matter. I can tell you, last Saturday at Hickory Log, I don't think I really paid too much attention to the electronics at all. It was, it's summer, winter, spring, fall. You don't really need it, and not to mention if you really get to know some of these lakes, they're small. It's not like you're fishing a 50,000 acre lake. You start to understand where some areas and how to triangulate like you did in the old days and set up.
Yeah. But if you're throwing toward the bank, it don't matter at all.
Correct.
That's right. Man, I appreciate it. Y'all taking time tonight. All of our fans is out here watching these videos. Leave us a comment, like it. You'll be entered in for these free drawings we're going to be giving away. Randy Geiger, can't wait to get back out there on the water and see y'all very, very soon.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Looking forward to it. See you later.
See you.
All right. Bye.